Right here. The July 30th meeting of the Human Services Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ansello. Here. Ms. Andrews. Here. Dr. Carbone is excused. Chairwoman Draw.
Here.
Mr. Gamina. Here. Ms. Cayley. Here. Mr. Lightfoot is excused. Dr. Quattro. Here. Mrs. Valerio. Here. President Adair.
I know that there's one person signed up for public forum tonight.
Yes, would Michelle Fitch please come forward?
Good evening. Good evening. Imagine for a minute you hear the fire alarms going off in this building. The fire department indicates it's only a small fire. It does not meet our guidelines to extinguish. Call us back when the fire is bigger. Would you find this an acceptable response? Each and every day, the safety and well-being of children are threatened by child abuse and neglect due to the system's failure to put out these fires, stating it does not meet their guidelines. Reports of child abuse and maltreatment in Monroe County are at the highest they have ever been, county officials have said. Breaking news, reports a young child has been seriously injured due to abuse and neglect. As the story unfolds, you learn that this child has been in the system for over 28 plus months. Numerous reports have been investigated, and our system chose to ignore all of the warning signs and not follow the recommendations by the professionals and intervene on this child's behalf. This issue is a community shared concern, as it should be. Child abuse and maltreatment have been shown to have long-term impact on victims' physical and mental health. But when confirmation by the medical and psychological professionals confirm that abuse is occurring and the system still chooses to ignore these findings and the impact on our children, then it is time for us to stand up, not only as a community, but as taxpayers, to bring public awareness to this systemic issue. The term "some credible evidence" is defined worthy of belief. There must be a connection between the alleged action or inaction and the harm or danger that action or inaction causes to the child. If there is some evidence for at least one allegation, the report is indicated. In addition to the medical professional findings, photographs depicting the injuries on the child, and statements by the child, the system has unfounded each and every report. We have a problem. The next time you see a fire truck going to a fire, remember, a fire is being put out. However, in the midst of the smoke and flames inside an abused child, you will hear a faint cry begging, "Please help protect me." If this was your child, what would you do? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present tonight that did not sign up that would like to speak? Seeing none. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have before you the June 25th minutes. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 13-219.
Moved by Legislator Quattro and seconded by Legislator Adair. And before we start this discussion on this referral, I would like to take a moment to introduce, to have Mr. Hefner, Jerry, introduce someone, Mr. Larrabee, our new director at the Monroe Community Hospital.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to welcome to the committee our new leadership team at Monroe Community Hospital, Jean Larrabee, who, with your confirmation, hopefully will be confirmed as the Executive Health Director. Jean is joining us at the table. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to introduce someone to you who is not formally before you for confirmation, but I thought it would be great for you to meet her. Colleen Rose is our new Deputy Executive Health Director at the Community Hospital. And I welcome Colleen as well. And we welcome your questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and ladies.
Yep.
Not too technologically proficient, I apologize. Good evening, Madam Chairman and ladies and gentlemen of the committee. It's my distinct honor and privilege to have been selected for this position. I am very pleased to be in Rochester. Over the course of my career, I have had many, many satisfying experiences, but I can honestly say that I've never had a position that provides such unlimited potential and possibility to provide creative clinical programming and truly create a model that can facilitate quality of care and quality of life, both for those residents that we are privileged to serve, and an atmosphere in which the staff can work that I think that they will find quite exciting and challenging. Just to share a little bit about my past and background, I'm a person who is old enough and probably older than many of you in the room. I grew up in the era of black and white television. And one of my favorite television programs as a young lad was Perry Mason. And as a consequence, I always wanted to be an attorney, and I planned my educational track in that regard and graduated from college, went to law school, came home the first year of law school at Easter break, sat down at the kitchen table with my parents and said, I hate it, I don't want to go back. And to make a long story short, that's how I got into healthcare administration. It was at the suggestion of my father. I've been in it ever since, and it's been a very rewarding path. I've been able to contribute, I think, to the betterment of a lot of facilities in my career. And again, I'm very privileged and honored to be in this position at Monroe Community Hospital.
Thank you. At this time, is there any questions, discussion? Open for discussion. Legislator Quattro?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just want to take the opportunity to welcome Mr. Larrabee to our community and to the Monroe Community Hospital. I've had the opportunity to be there a number of times, not just as a legislator for events that we've had there, but also to work in the chiropractic clinic that's there, as well as visit residents that are there. And it's an absolutely beautiful, world-class facility. And having the opportunity to review your resume and to speak with you shortly prior to this meeting, I'm thrilled that you're here. You're obviously more than qualified to be at Monroe Community Hospital as its administrator, as lead administrator. So I look forward to working with you, not just as a member of this committee and this legislature, but also as a member of the healthcare community and a member of this community in general. So welcome and congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments, sir.
Legislator Valerio? Okay, I'm sorry, I'll get you next.
I also wish to welcome you, Mr. Larrabee, and rise in support of your appointment. I'm very impressed with the rich depth of experience and leadership in your past work in several healthcare institutions, and I strongly believe that you will provide the same level of successful leadership of our Monroe Community Hospital. My family, too, has been impacted by the quality services at Monroe Community Hospital, and we really believe in the good work that they do. Your professional experience as a leader and health administrators speak for themselves, and I'm proud to welcome you to our team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and again, I'm very proud to be here.
Thank you. Legislator Andrus, I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, I just wanted to welcome Mr. Larrabee to your position. And thanks for coming here this evening. Congratulations, and I look forward to working with you. Ms. Rose as well, congratulations to you, and thank you for coming here tonight as well, even though you weren't certainly obligated to do so. I look forward to working with both of you. I do have a couple of questions for you, Mr. Larrabee, if you just allow me to ask them. In terms of, could you just describe for us what you think would be your vision for where you'd like to take the hospital at this point in time through the chair?
Let me answer this way, and hopefully the chair and the members of this committee can appreciate my answer and understand my direction and personal mission. I learned many years ago that those who aspire to fame rarely achieve greatness. Those who aspire to greatness don't care about being famous, yet they also often achieve fame. When I was being interviewed for this position, staff members were giving me descriptions of some of the things that went on a daily basis at Monroe Community Hospital. And when they asked for my opinion as to what I thought about what they had described, my response was, "Why aren't you world famous?" This institution is incredible in its potential. And my vision for this institution is not to make it the best in Monroe County, not to make it the best in Western New York, not to make it the best in New York, but simply to make it the best.
Thank you. Through the chair, also, in getting to know the hospital to date, I mean, as you know, we've had some problems there recently. Could you just speak to what you would see at this point in time as needed changes in the hospital, or what you plan to implement?
Right. Yeah. Madam Chairman, through the chair, I think it's premature for me to say at this time what changes I envision for the organization. I've been there 7 business days. I'm in the process of learning staff and introducing myself to people. I don't necessarily see any need for sweeping changes. The most important thing that I've observed in the short time I've been there is there is an unquestioned dedication of staff to provide quality care, and even more importantly, that care is being delivered and the residents and patients there are receiving it.
Thank you. And through the chair, could you talk briefly about your style in dealing with employees? You've talked about your meetings with the staff. How would, at this point in time, would you attempt to rebuild morale and work with employees?
Well, through the chair, I have initiated my tenure by meeting with staff on all 3 shifts and inviting them to form a collaborative relationship with myself and other members of the management staff. I'm a firm believer in a participatory style of management. I have an open door policy. Anyone is welcome to come and speak with me at any time. And I intend to take a look at the quality assurance and management structure of the facility and try to expand it so that it includes the possibility for every employee to participate in that process.
Thank you. And through the chair, could you talk about how you would envision your relationship to be with the MCH board, please?
Are you speaking of the governing board or the advisory board, ma'am?
The the recently reconstituted oversight board.
Through the chair, I would expect it to be a collaborative relationship. I have attended one of their meetings, actually attended that meeting prior to my commencement of employment. I'm certainly impressed by the credentials of the people who serve on that particular board. It is my understanding that they're going to function in an advisory capacity, and I will look forward to not only collaborating with them, but listening and learning from them.
Thank you. And through the chair, and just reviewing your resume, you have worked in several different hospitals throughout the country. Could you just explain briefly what sort of brought you to move all around the country to the different places that you have worked?
Just primarily opportunities that arose at the time. I can specifically share through the chair that I purposely went to Florida. I reached a point in my career where I really wanted to play golf in February. And so I sought a Florida license, and just as an aside, it's extraordinarily difficult to get a Florida license. There's so much red tape. But much to my surprise and delight, one day after I was licensed in Florida, I received a call to come and do some interim work there. So that was a purposeful move on my part. And I was very, very fortunate to have met my wife while I was there. And we've now been back north for 6.5 years, and she still has not forgiven me. But primarily the moves have been made because of the career opportunities that I've been presented. That's why I'm here, because this is a great, I see this as a great opportunity in an organization that is driven by its mission. And that is of ultimate importance to me. This industry is segmented into the proprietary sector and the not-for-profit sector. And the proprietary sector, which dominates the industry on a national, from a national perspective, is market-driven. And in my observation, quality of care in that sector of this industry is not a consequence of their philosophy, it's a coincidence. And in a mission-driven organization, it's a direct consequence of their philosophy. And that's one of the big drawing cards for me here, is the fact that this is a mission-driven organization.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to answer my questions this evening. I do look forward to working with both of you. I wish you great success. I know everyone in this room certainly thinks that community hospital is a fantastic place. We want to see it thrive and see all the residents there be successful. My last question to you would be, because you are new now, as you just stated, a few days on the job, would you be willing to come back to this committee in 6 months or so and just give us sort of an update in terms of how your first 6 months have gone and how things are going at the hospital?
Would be my pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir.
Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Mr. Larrabee, welcome. And Ms. Rose, welcome as well. It's a pleasure to meet you both, and I look forward to working with you. I did have just one. It doesn't have to be a long answer, but you definitely handled a great deal of services in the Albany County setting, and I just was wanting to know what you thought, if there was a crowning moment or an achievement that you felt most proud of there.
I think that there, through the chair, in retrospect, I think that there are two things that come immediately to mind, and then a third that's more general in nature. And I'll begin with the third. I left there with a great deal of pride that I felt that I had brought things to that facility which resulted in providing a better quality of life for its residents. And from an overall perspective, I'm proud of that. But that's a general statement. And the two things that are more specific, I'm very proud of what we entitled the RISE program, which was an experimental program for in-house program for dementia residents. We began that program over 5 years ago. It's still going strong, and as a result of that program, we saw many people experience a slowdown in their disease process. In other words, we had people in that program who actually were in that program for as long as 5 years, and when their cognitive abilities were tested at the end of 5 years, they were at the same level as they were at the beginning of the program. And for a dementia patient, that's extraordinarily unusual. The other thing I'm most proud of is on a personal note. When I came to Albany County, the current county executive was a member of the legislature, and he opposed my confirmation, primarily for political reasons. I don't think he could go back and tell you why he did that. But when I shared with him that I had accepted this position, he was very, very gracious and met with me privately to apologize that he had made a mistake in opposing me, and that he appreciated all I had done for the facility and for the county. And personally, that meant a lot to me.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I just want to say I want to congratulate you, Mr. Libby, and Ms. Rosen, and say, I don't think anyone mentioned, but you come from a nationwide search. So there was, I don't know how many, approximately how many, 20, 30 people that we interviewed. So we got the best of the best. So we're
Thank you.
very happy
Thank you
to
very
have
much.
Have you come on board and serve the county.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and for the opportunity to appear before you this evening. Thank you.
Now you're waiting for this is the big thing, the vote right now.
That's right.
Okay, so you got to wait. You can't leave yet. Okay. This isn't the big part yet? It's kind of. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. This is, sorry about that. And I'll never get up there. Okay, so that, no other discussion. So all those in favor of Mr. Larrabee, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item carries. So congratulations and welcome to Monroe County.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next item.
Referral 13-220.
Moved by Legislator Adair and seconded by Legislator Gamino. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 13-221, amend Resolution 123.
Moved by Legislator Gamino and seconded by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Andrews.
Thank you, and through the chair, it appears that we just accepted funding for this grant just probably a few months ago. Is this just additional funding that's come in? Is that why we're getting it now?
Through the through the chair, this is before us, again today because the first grant was only for a single year, and what's before us right now includes a 4-year total, but also an increase in terms of some of the expenses on the county side.
Thank you. Through the chair, then, could you just speak to the increases on the county side, please?
Some of the increases through the chair, reflect accounting more appropriately for the indirect costs on the county side.
And through the chair, then, what are those direct costs? Or how much are they?
Through the chair, that includes, about, 20,000, per year, and that 20,000 per year includes contribution, from the director or my designee, but also support staff, including from other agencies, including like the law department and purchasing.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 13-222, acceptance of the
Moved by
grant.
Legislator Quattro, second by Legislator Valerio. Any discussion? Legislator Andrews.
Thank you, and through you to the administration, is the $280,000 that's going to the city of Rochester the same amount that we gave to them last year?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion on that? Seeing none, signify by saying aye. Aye. And any ayes? No. And item carries. Next item.
Referral 13-223,
Moved by
acceptance.
Legislator Ansello and seconded by Legislator Valerio. Any discussion on this? Legislator Andrews.
Thank you. And through you, I see it's the first year that we've received this grant, and I wondered if you could just provide a brief explanation of what we'll be doing with this pilot program, please.
Through the chair, this grant is targeting folks who have existing HIV but who have fallen out of care. Fallen out of care is defined by New York State as those who've been out of care for a minimum of 13 months but up to 24 months. And so that's a new target. The idea with this grant to identify those who are out of care because they may pose increased risk of transmission to others, and they also have an increased risk of having adverse health events. So that's why there's more of a focus on this subgroup.
Thank you. And then just a couple of other questions. Could you tell me the total number of people who are infected with HIV in Monroe County?
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
Through the chair, on average, we see about 80 to 90 new HIV cases, per year. And with this specific grant, roughly we're talking about between 200 to 300 individuals, who have existing HIV, who fall within that definition from New York State.
Thank you. Then, and through the chair, then, just so the total number of people at this point in time that you think are infected with HIV in the community, including the 200 to 300.
I can provide that to you with some of our most current data.
Thank you.
Through the chair, thanks.
I appreciate it, and I certainly am supportive of this grant and the work it's intending to do.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next item.
Referral 13-229.
Moved by Legislator Gamina and second by Legislator Valerio. Any discussion on this one? Legislator Cayley?
Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the administration, this is first of a 5-year grant of our involvement, the county's involvement. Is there any other additional information that can be provided at this time as to this program? Excuse me.
Through you, Madam Chair, first let me clarify that it is not a 5-year grant. It is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misread my notes.
Okay.
Thank you. Through the chair.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair, would you like additional information?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Through the chair.
And you'd like help me understand what you're.
Well, a description of the program, a little bit juicier than what's on the front page, I think, of the program in general, not so much what Monroe County is doing, but obviously through the chair there's consulting, but just a little bit more, I guess.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Through the chair, this is one of 11 sites nationally. I think the fact that Monroe County was awarded this grant speaks to our robust partnership with the City of Rochester and the City School District. The staff member who's going to be working on this from the Youth Bureau is actually someone who's been on loan to the City School District for the Safe Schools Healthy Community Grant for the past 5.5 years. This is in many ways an expansion of the work that was done through that grant, and it will offer an opportunity to do expanded learning and an expanded learning collaborative with a variety of other folks to offer learning opportunity and career options for city school district students.
Thank you. And then through the chair, is this going to be a citywide type of programming, or are there individual schools that might be identified?
Through you, Madam Chair, there are 6 schools involved.
Thank you. And could you give those to us, please?
I'm sorry, through you, Madam Chair, I'm sorry I do not have the list with me now, but we can get you the 6 schools that will be involved in the pilot.
Thank you. Not to push, but would these schools, I almost, through the chair, I almost feel like, what's my line? Would these schools be in the identified areas that have been serviced through some of the other programs that we've done in the past?
Through you, Madam Chair, what I can tell you with certainty is that they are low-performing schools. I'm not sure if all of those schools are located within the Crescent.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you, okay. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 13-232.
Moved by Legislator Quattro, second by Legislator Adair. Is there any discussion on this at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. And I believe at this time, we're up to other matters. And I see that Kelly Reed is here tonight, and I think she would like to answer some questions on the Monroe County Juvenile Detention Center, as we have received a request on answer some questions about it. So, Commissioner Reed, if you would like, you have the floor.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about it.
Very good. Legislator Andrews.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Reed, for being here this evening to answer some questions. I know this topic's come up a few times in the recent past and probably the distant past as well, but I just wanted to, we've received some concerns from employees who work at the Children's Detention Center about its future. And I guess people are feeling some anxiety about not knowing what's happening to it, perhaps the proposed Costco location. And I just wondered if you could just clarify for the record kind of what's going on there. Are there any more plans at this point that have been put together in terms of moving, or how do you see it going in the future? I know before we've talked a lot about the age of majority in New York and what sort of population the facility is going to have to serve. I think that's probably still unresolved, unless you can clarify that has been resolved. But just to bring us up to speed with what's going on, please.
Absolutely. Through you, Madam Chair, let me back up just a little bit, because we have talked about this on a number of occasions. Yes, we have been for quite some time looking for a new location for the Children's Center. There is a city-managed project that involves Costco that I think everyone is aware of, because it's been in the media, but that is a city project. With regard to issues around the staff, there's two things that you may or may not know, but I think are important to say here this evening. One of them is the director of the facility has done really due diligence in terms of letting people know what we know right now in terms of what's possible. And in addition to that, representatives from the Department of Human Resources are working with representatives from Federation of Social Workers to make sure that the union is also aware of what's happening. I appreciate the concern. I think it's natural that the staff would be concerned about what might be happening. However, I assure you that at this point, there is no plan for us to close the Monroe County facility in terms of the operation of a children's detention facility. We are looking at alternatives, location alternatives, and one of the considerations that is on the table and has been on the table, as we've spoken about in the past, is JD 18 and whether or not New York State will move to a position where juveniles will be considered 18 as opposed to right now, where the majority is 16 served by the social service district. I think you know that inside of that is also the question of, even if JD 18 were to be employed, that there is a question as to whether or not they would fall into the jurisdiction of the social service district or the sheriff. So that's still up in the air. At the same time, we have a multitude of different needs that we need to address for the young people with whom we're working, as well to ensure their safety and well-being, as well as to ensure the safety and well-being of the staff that work in our facility. And so we are looking at a variety of relocation options. We're waiting right now. We've sent a letter to the Office of Children and Family Services asking for them to reconfirm their commitment to us, that they continue to be interested in supporting financially and from a programmatic standpoint the relocation of Monroe County's facility. We have every reason to believe at this point that they are, because we're engaged in regular, sometimes a couple of times a week, conversation around what Monroe County's needs are with regard to a location. And we have identified a spot that we are looking at carefully with the state, that both the state and the county have identified as being a reasonable possibility for a location. And that is a location that's very nearby the industry site. It's a couple of buildings that are across from the industry site in what was formerly called Oatka. And they actually have, one of those buildings is currently being used for some administrative services for industry. The other has housed some of the young men who are on site at industry while they have renovated some of their other cottages on the site. So it offers some reasonable possibility and for us. There are folks from Monroe County as well as New York State that are going to be looking at it the second week in August to consider whether or not it might be reasonable. What the state, a state facility has different obligations than we do and operates a bit differently than a local center does. So we function under different regulations. So there's actually some construction considerations and changes in the way that things are located that would be obliged of us. We have to look and make sure that those things would be reasonable and manageable under the new circumstances. But at this point, I would have to call it a reasonably promising opportunity that would offer some opportunities for synergy between the state and the county. I see that as a reasonable possibility for us right now.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that information. And just, I don't think I followed you entirely, but the center currently is county run, is that correct?
It is.
And so are you saying that the new facility could possibly be jointly administered between the county and the state, or could you just talk about the synergy that you were just referring to?
Yep. Through you, Madam Chair, no, it would continue to be a county-run facility. Some of the synergies that we see are perhaps cost savings, where we might be able to use the same food service program. We might be able to use the same laundry program. We might be able to use some of the same wiring for the sally ports on site. Those sorts of things are places where we see that there might be some opportunity for savings.
Thank you. That helps me very much. And at this point in time, through the chair, then, would you have any idea of what the cost would be to make that relocation to the site you were describing?
Through you, Madam Chair, we do not know that because we have not been there. There have been some initial conversations. We've seen some floor plans, and the director of our current facility, Mike Marinin, has been there with some Office of Children and Family Service representatives, but nobody from a facility standpoint at the state or the local level have seen it yet. That's what we're doing the second week in August.
Okay, thank you. And then just lastly, how many children are currently at the center?
Through the chair.
Through the chair, I'm sorry, I don't have today's census, but I would tell you that in recent times it's ranged between 12 to 20 youth.
Thank you very much. And I would just ask, as I probably usually do through the chair, if you wouldn't mind just keeping us informed, especially after your upcoming visit in August, as things develop in terms of plans to move and cost as you learn them, please. Thank you very much for coming to this evening.
Through the chair, absolutely, happy to do it.
Commissioner Reed. Is there any other matters to come before this committee? Legislator Andrews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our office has requested a few times that a tour be provided of the Department of Human Services site on St. Paul, and I don't believe we've received a response from that request. We've made a few times, so I just wanted to take this opportunity this evening to ask Mr. Helfer or Commissioner Reed if it were possible for that to be arranged.
Madam Chair, we'd be happy to do that to any interested members of the committee or the legislature. And I'll be back in touch with the staff about that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Seeing no other matters, the committee, this meeting of the Human Services Committee is adjourned till, what's the date? I have to put my glasses back on. August 20th, 2013 at 6 p.m. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.